We're going to do a video on AAPL, Apple stock, AAPL stock, and let's take a look at this chart real quick. We've got a 200-day moving average in blue. You can see Apple is below the 200-day moving average. We've got some wild price action this week. This is a daily chart, and it was a pretty wild week for Apple. Started off the week right around here, roughly. I think this one might have been Monday, but it started off pretty good up here close to the 150s and ended up making a low on Friday of 134. So that's a ridiculous amount of volatility for a big company like Apple in 1 week. So let's take a close look at it. Apple is rolling over. So in other words, this is the 200-day moving average, and you can see now it was flat. It's now starting to roll over a little bit. So the stock's been in a bear market on and off. It started in May of 2022, rallied above the 200-day moving average in the beginning of August, and then broke back through it at the end of August. And so none of this is any good for the long-term prognosis of Apple's price, but at the end of the day, we can basically go from right here, this March 15th, and just put a line across here and say that Apple's been oscillating around $150, $155 ever since, and is still doing that. Just as early as this last week, we put in or as late as this last week, we put in a high of 157. So Apple's been right around the 150-ish range, and we put in this bottom in the summertime. It's kind of hard to see exactly which day it is, but let's call it $129. So that's the bottom. We can call this up here roughly 176 the high, and we've been oscillating back and forth. So what is a longer-term prognosis for Apple? And in a minute, I'm going to show you some short-term algorithmic prices and some trend following. But a longer-term prognosis for Apple, we go to the weekly chart, and we can see that Apple is still above its 200-week moving average in blue here, which is really good. There's nothing the matter with Apple from a fundamental perspective. It's a great company. And when you take a look at this, we were headed down on a weekly basis on the 20-week moving average, and now we've gone flat. So if you look at this stock, it's put in a bottom here again in June, the week of June, this summer, and it's kind of holding that. Now, what's a bad sign for this? If we break this bottom, this $129.04, if we break that, that's a bad sign for Apple. It's probably going to go all the way down here to the high 100s, 109, 110, something like that, and test this moving average. If we hold that, then that's a good sign for Apple, and then we'd be looking for Apple to rally up here in this direction and try to get above this 176 level. So basically, we're going flat on a 20-day moving average. If that continues, in other words, if it doesn't turn back down, and we get this price back above the 5, and right now prices the close was below the 5-week moving average, below the 20-week moving average. We've got to turn that around and get it above the 5-week and the 20-week moving average and get this green 5 line above the red line. Once we get those moving averages back up and the price is up, then you have a chance for Apple to put in some decent challenges to this $176 high. So that's the positive effect. The negative effect, if it rallies down here, or drops down and breaks this 129. If it does that, then Apple's going to be a stock in the low 100s, in my opinion. So let's take a look real quick and see what the sentiment is for tomorrow, because I'm going to show you some prices for tomorrow. It's never good to see a stock as big as Apple gap like this, either to the upside here or the downside here. That is not good. So it did gap like that. It's gapped. This is a this is a 200-hour moving average. We're on that hourly chart now, and you can see extreme volatility in the Apple. As soon as it rallied up, they just sold the heck out of it, and they sold it continuously. This is probably, I'd have to check and look, but you can see this is this is from the 28th all the way to the 4th. This is a lot of days of hard selling in here on an hourly chart. So big deal? Not really. It made a slight new low, but not a huge negative deal. What's more positive about it is the 200-hour is starting to flatten out a little bit. So if you can get it to flatten out a little bit like this and turn, then maybe you get a decent rally out of Apple like we just discussed. But we'll have to see what happens next week. But from an hourly perspective, the stock started here, rallied up, and ended right back up here. So from October, the middle of October, all the way till yesterday, or Friday, you got really nothing. You didn't get a whole lot, but a lot of movement. So let's take a look real quick at Apple algorithmically generated entry prices for tomorrow, the 7th of November. AAPL is Apple, and we've got buys on Apple at 133, 135, and 137. That's 1, 5, and 20-day hold periods. These are trading days, and they're good only for the several things. They're good only for the 7th of November. They're good only for entertainment. You trade at your own risk. Can't use it for anything other than entertainment. And of course, they're all for entertainment purposes only. Let's take a look at those. These are non-trend following. So it's just basically get in Monday, get out at the end of the next trading day at a loss, or take your profits sooner, and the same thing all the way across. Let's take a look for the trend following, 30-day trend following. Get in Monday, get out at the end of 30 days at a loss, or take your profits sooner if you get them. Looking at Apple here as a buy. So for tomorrow, the 7th, we're showing Apple a buy. If it gets up to $142, then that's a buy signal for Apple. And of course, you take your profits as soon as you get it, or close out at a loss in 30 days. That's the way this works. So that's what we've got for you on Apple. Again, all for entertainment purposes only. You trade at your own risk. You have to do your own analysis. Can't use our prices or a commentary for anything but entertainment. However, they're fun to look at. You can get them all for free every morning before 7 a.m. No credit card required. Link in the description below to rbamresearch.com. You just go over there, put in your email address, and get access to 190 stocks, the major forex pairs, BTC crypto, and the most liquid futures contracts, all updated by 7 a.m. If you like this video, please click the like button. If you want to subscribe, please do it as well. If you got a great ticker symbol for us and you'd like us to do an analysis on it, please put it in the comment section below. And if we can, we will do it for you.